The dark figure emerged from swirling smoke, his breathing mechanical and rhythmic. The sound alone struck terror into the hearts of all who heard it. This was the Emperor's most feared enforcer, a merciless warrior cloaked in black, face hidden behind an expressionless mask. His name was whispered across the galaxy with dread. Darth Vader, Lord of the Sith, destroyer of the Jedi Order. But he was not always a monster. Once he was a boy named Anakin Skywalker, and his story begins not in darkness but in light. Long before the Empire rose to power, the Jedi Order served as guardians of peace and justice throughout the galaxy. Among their ancient texts existed a prophecy that foretold the coming of a chosen one who would bring balance to the Force. The Jedi believed this balance would favor the light, strengthening their order for generations to come. They could not have imagined how tragically wrong they would be. Our story begins on Tatooine, a harsh desert planet orbiting twin suns in the Outer Rim. It was a lawless world controlled by the Hutts, where slavery still flourished despite Republic prohibition. In this unlikely place, destiny took its first steps when a Jedi Master named Qui-Gon Jinn and his apprentice Obi-Wan Kenobi found themselves stranded after their ship sustained damage fleeing a Trade Federation blockade. Seeking parts to repair their vessel, the Jedi entered the dusty settlement of Mos Espa. A violent sandstorm was brewing on the horizon, painting the sky an ominous orange. As the winds began to howl through the streets, they took shelter in a small shop owned by a Toydarian junk dealer named Watto. There, amid the broken droids and salvaged parts, they encountered a young slave boy with sun-bleached hair and eyes that seemed to hold both innocence and ancient wisdom. The boy was Anakin Skywalker, 9 years old, but with hands already calloused from years of labor. There was something extraordinary about him that Qui-Gon sensed immediately. The Force swirled around the child with an intensity the Jedi Master had never experienced before. While negotiating for parts, Qui-Gon was struck by Anakin's intuitive understanding of machinery and his natural kindness despite his harsh circumstances. The boy invited the stranded travelers to wait out the sandstorm in the small home he shared with his mother, Shmi. During their conversation, Qui-Gon became increasingly convinced that their meeting was not mere chance, but the will of the Force itself. That night, as Anakin proudly showed them the protocol droid he was building for his mother, and the podracer he had secretly constructed, Qui-Gon performed a blood test. The results confirmed what he had suspected. Anakin's midi-chlorian count was over 20,000, the highest ever recorded, exceeding even Master Yoda's. More astonishing still was Shmi's revelation that Anakin had no father. She had simply found herself pregnant, carried him, and gave birth without explanation. With growing certainty, Qui-Gon began to believe he had found the chosen one of Jedi prophecy. But freeing the boy would not be simple. When conventional negotiations failed, Qui-Gon proposed a wager on an upcoming pod race with Anakin as the pilot. The Boonta Eve Classic was the largest pod race on Tatooine, a death-defying contest where pilots pushed machines and themselves beyond all reasonable limits. No human had ever completed the course, let alone won. As the racers lined up at the starting grid, the massive crowd roared with excitement. Anakin's small podracer looked fragile compared to his competitors' machines. Shmi watched with terror as her son prepared to risk his life, while Qui-Gon maintained the serene confidence of a man glimpsing the threads of fate. When the race began, Anakin's podracer failed to start. The other racers disappeared into the distance as the boy frantically worked the controls. Finally, the engines ignited with a roar, and he shot forward, beginning the seemingly impossible task of catching the leaders. What followed was a display of piloting that defied explanation. Through narrow canyons and across open desert, Anakin navigated with preternatural reflexes, almost as if he could see events before they occurred. One by one, his competitors crashed or broke down in the punishing conditions. The notorious Sebulba, a Dug known for sabotaging other races, attempted to force Anakin into a collision with a canyon wall. At the last possible moment, Anakin somehow maneuvered over the top of Sebulba's pod and took the lead. As he crossed the finish line, history was made, and more importantly, his freedom was won. That night, as Anakin packed his few belongings, the reality of leaving his mother behind struck him fully. They embraced in the cool desert evening, both knowing it might be the last time they would see each other, with tears streaming down his face. Anakin made a solemn promise. "I will come back and free you, Mom. I promise." Shumi cupped her son's face in her hands. "My place is here, Arnie. My future is here, but you are free to choose your own future." As they prepared to depart, a mysterious figure in dark robes appeared on the outskirts of Mos Espa. He watched the Jedi's ship from afar, his face concealed beneath a hood, a lightsaber gleaming at his belt. This was Darth Maul, apprentice to Darth Sidious, and he had been sent to ensure the Queen of Naboo never reached Coruscant. But now his master would be very interested to learn of this unusual boy the Jedi seemed so intent on taking with them. During the journey to Coruscant, Qui-Gon began teaching Anakin basic meditation techniques. The boy absorbed the lessons with remarkable speed, but Qui-Gon noticed something concerning. Unlike most Force-sensitive children who came to the Jedi as infants, Anakin had formed deep attachments, particularly to his mother. The Jedi Master observed as Anakin would wake from nightmares, calling out for Shmi. This attachment would prove problematic for Jedi training, which required emotional detachment. When they arrived at Coruscant, the gleaming capital of the Republic, Anakin was overwhelmed by the endless cityscape and the sheer number of beings from countless worlds. The Jedi Temple stood majestic among the skyscrapers, its 5 spires reaching toward the sky. As they approached the temple, Anakin felt both wonder and apprehension. This would be his new home, but something in the Force whispered a warning. The Jedi Council, led by Master Yoda and Mace Windu, agreed to test the boy. Standing in the center of the circular chamber, surrounded by the most powerful Jedi in the galaxy, Anakin felt exposed and vulnerable as they probed his mind and tested his abilities. "Afraid you are," Yoda observed, his ancient eyes narrowing. "Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering." Despite his extraordinary midi-chlorian count and Qui-Gon's insistence that he was the chosen one, the Council refused to accept Anakin for training. He was too old, they said, too full of fear and attachment. As they left the chamber, Obi-Wan expressed his agreement with the Council, creating the first tensions between himself and Qui-Gon over the boy's future. But fate was already in motion, and events would soon force the Jedi's hand. As the situation on Naboo deteriorated, Queen Amidala decided to return to her people despite the danger. The Jedi would accompany her, and Anakin, with nowhere else to go, would join them. Before departing, Anakin encountered Senator Palpatine for the first time. The politician from Naboo took a special interest in the boy, his kindly demeanor and grandfatherly smile hiding something far more sinister. "We will watch your career with great interest, young Skywalker," Palpatine said, placing a hand on Anakin's shoulder. The boy felt a strange chill at the touch, though he could not understand why. What Anakin could not know was that he had just met the man who would one day destroy everything he loved, transform him into a monster, and rule the galaxy through fear. For Senator Palpatine was not merely an ambitious politician. Behind the benevolent facade lurked Darth Sidious, Dark Lord of the Sith, who had already set in motion a plan that would span decades and end with the destruction of the Jedi Order. As their ship departed for Naboo, Anakin stood at the viewport, watching Coruscant shrink away. The Force swirled around him with possibilities. Would he become a Jedi? Would he see his mother again? And why did he feel such a strange connection to the young handmaiden who had been so kind to him, the one they called Padme? On Naboo, a deadly confrontation awaited. Qui-Gon would face the tattooed Sith Lord who had been tracking them, and in that battle, Anakin would lose the first of many father figures. It would be the beginning of a journey that would transform a hopeful slave boy into the most feared enforcer in the galaxy. The prophecy of the Chosen One was already unfolding, but not as the Jedi had foreseen. In the darkness of space, as Anakin drifted towards sleep in his quarters, a vision came to him. A man in black armor stood at his bedside, mechanical breathing filling the room. The figure reached out a gloved hand toward him, and Anakin felt a connection he could not explain, a terrible future closing in. He woke with a start, heart pounding, unaware that he had glimpsed his own destiny. 10 years passed since Anakin Skywalker left Tatooine. Now 19, he stood tall beside his master, Obi-Wan Kenobi, in the elevator ascending to Senator Amidala's quarters on Coruscant. After an assassination attempt on the former Queen of Naboo, the Jedi had been assigned as her protectors. "You seem nervous," Obi-Wan observed, stroking his beard. "I haven't seen her in 10 years, Anakin admitted. His heart raced as the elevator doors opened. When Padme entered the room, Anakin was momentarily stunned. The girl he remembered had become a beautiful, poised woman. While Obi-Wan and Captain Typho discussed security measures, Anakin could barely keep his eyes off her. "Anna? My goodness! You've grown," Padme said, studying him. "So have you," he replied awkwardly. "Grown more beautiful, I mean." Obi-Wan shot him a warning glance. Jedi were not supposed to form attachments, and Anakin's infatuation was obvious. That night, another assassination attempt came in the form of poisonous kuhuns delivered by a droid. While Obi-Wan leapt through the window to pursue the droid, Anakin remained to protect Padme. His quick thinking saved her life, but the incident revealed how his feelings clouded his judgment. The next day, the Jedi Council assigned Anakin to escort Padme back to Naboo in secret while Obi-Wan investigated the assassination attempts. Chancellor Palpatine supported this decision, much to Master Windu's discomfort. The Chancellor had taken a special interest in Anakin's development over the years, offering counsel and encouragement when the young Padawan felt underappreciated by the Jedi. "You will find that I am a great ally in your rise to greatness, Anakin," Palpatine had told him during one of their private conversations. On the journey to Naboo, Anakin and Padme spent long hours in conversation. He confessed his frustrations with Obi-Wan's teaching. "He's holding me back. I'm ready for the trials, but he doesn't think so." "You have exceptional gifts," Padme acknowledged, "but patience is also a virtue." At night, Anakin's sleep was troubled by dreams of his mother in pain. Each dream grew more vivid, more urgent. He would wake drenched in sweat, the force around him disturbed. On Naboo, as they stayed at Padme's lake retreat, the walls between them began to crumble. Despite knowing the Jedi code forbade attachment, Anakin couldn't contain his feelings. "From the moment I met you, all those years ago, not a day has gone by when I haven't thought of you," he confessed, as they sat beside the fireplace. Padme maintained a diplomatic distance. "Don't look at me like that." "Why not?" "Because I can see what you're thinking." Their forbidden romance might have remained unfulfilled had the dreams not intensified. One night, Anakin woke screaming his mother's name. The vision had been more vivid than ever. Shemai was being tortured, calling for her son. "I have to go to Tatooine," he told Padme, his decision already made. She insisted on accompanying him, knowing he was disobeying direct orders from the Council. Together they traveled to the desert planet of his childhood. Watto, his former owner, informed them that he had sold Shimi to a moisture farmer named Click Lars, who had freed her and taken her as his wife. When they arrived at the Law's homestead, they learned that Shimmy had been kidnapped by Tusken raiders a month earlier. Clive, now missing a leg from a failed rescue attempt, had given up hope. Those Tuskens walk like men, but they're monsters. Anakin would not accept defeat. Taking a swoop bike, he vanished into the desert, using the Force to guide him to his mother. What he found would change him forever. In a Tusken camp, he discovered Shmi tied to a torture rack, barely alive. She opened her eyes one last time, touching her son's face. "Arnie, is it you? You look so handsome. My son, my grown-up son. I'm so proud of you, Arnie." "I missed you so much, Mom," he whispered, cradling her. With her final breath, she told him she loved him. Then she was gone, her body limp in his arms. Something broke inside Anakin Skywalker. Rage unlike anything he had ever known consumed him. The dark side of the Force, always present but dormant, surged through his veins. Igniting his lightsaber, he emerged from the tent and slaughtered every Tusken in the camp. Men, women, children, none was spared his wrath. When it was over, he stood amid the bodies, his soul forever changed. The Chosen One had taken his first step toward darkness. Back at the homestead, as he prepared his mother's body for burial, Padme witnessed his grief and shame. "I killed them all," he confessed, tears streaming down his face. "Not just the men, but the women and children too. They're like animals, and I slaughtered them like animals. I hate them." Padme should have been horrified. Instead, she offered comfort, cementing their forbidden bond. Their moment of shared grief was interrupted by a message from Obi-Wan, who had tracked the bounty hunter Jango Fett to the planet Geonosis. Before he could finish his report, he was attacked. The message ended with Obi-Wan being dragged away by droid cars. Despite instructions to stay on Tatooine, Anakin and Padme immediately set course for Geonosis. Before they departed, Anakin crafted a new hand for himself, the mechanical replacement gleaming in the Tatooine sunlight, his first battle scar, but far from his last. As their ship entered the crimson atmosphere of Geonosis, neither knew they were flying toward the beginning of a galactic conflict that would reshape their lives and the Republic itself. The Clone Wars were about to begin, and with them, Anakin Skywalker's transformation into the legendary warrior who would become known across the galaxy as the hero with no fear. But in private moments, when no one was watching, fear was Anakin's constant companion. Fear of loss, fear of failure, fear that he would never be powerful enough to protect those he loved. And as any Jedi Master could tell you, fear is the path to the dark side. The droid factory on Geonosis hummed with deadly machinery. Conveyor belts moved parts along assembly lines, while molten metal poured into molds. Anakin and Padme had infiltrated the facility seeking Obi-Wan, but instead found themselves surrounded by Geonosians and battle droids. "This isn't going well," Anakin muttered, as they retreated onto a narrow catwalk. Lightsaber drawn, he deflected blaster fire, while Padme returned shots with her small pistol. "Behind you," she warned as a Geonosian warrior swooped down. Their valiant effort proved futile. Overwhelmed by superior numbers, they were captured and brought before Count Dooku, the charismatic separatist leader whom Obi-Wan had been tracking. "The great Jedi Order reduced to spying," Dooku remarked with aristocratic disdain. "How unfortunate that you chose to ally yourself with the Republic, Skywalker." Dooku, once a Jedi Master himself, had left the Order years earlier, disillusioned by corruption in the Republic. Now he led the Confederacy of Independent Systems against the government he once served. Anakin, Padme, and the newly discovered Obi-Wan were sentenced to execution in the Geonosian arena. As they were transported to their fate, Padme finally confessed her feelings. "I've been dying a little each day since you came back into my life," she told Anakin as they sat in the execution cart. "Why do you say this now?" Because I want you to know the truth. Before we die, I love you." Their first kiss was shared in the shadow of death, a moment of tenderness before they were chained to pillars in the arena. 3 beasts were released to devour them: a ferocious Nexu for Padme, a rhino-like reek for Anakin, and an insectoid Acklay for Obi-Wan. Using the Force and their wits, they managed to free themselves from their chains. Anakin mounted the reek, using it to rescue Padme from the Nexu. The execution spectacle was interrupted by the arrival of Jedi Master Mace Windu, leading dozens of Jedi who had infiltrated the arena. Lightsabers ignited across the stadium as the Geonosians fled in panic. Dooku remained calm, signaling to his tactical droid. Suddenly, hundreds of battle droids marched into the arena. The Jedi found themselves vastly outnumbered, fighting back to back as their numbers dwindled. When all seemed lost, the arena fell silent at the sound of gunships approaching. Master Yoda arrived with the newly discovered clone army from Kamino. Under heavy covering fire, the surviving Jedi and Padme boarded the gunships. "We must capture Count Dooku," Obi-Wan shouted over the din of battle. Their gunship pursued Dooku's speeder across the desert landscape of Geonosis. Padme and a clone trooper were thrown from the ship during evasive maneuvers. "Padme," Anakin cried, nearly jumping after her. Obi-Wan restrained him. "She's fine. We have a job to do." "I don't care. You will be expelled from the Jedi Order." "I can't leave her." Obi-Wan's voice hardened. "Come to your senses. What do you think Padme would do in your position?" The question struck home. Reluctantly, Anakin stayed on mission, his concern for Padme pushed aside by duty. They tracked Dooku to a hangar where he was preparing to escape. Without waiting for Obi-Wan's strategy, Anakin rushed forward, lightsaber blazing. "Powerful you have become, Skywalker," Dooku acknowledged, easily parrying his attacks. "But not powerful enough." Dooku's mastery of lightsaber combat overwhelmed the young Padawan. A quick strike severed Anakin's arm at the elbow, sending him collapsing to the ground beside an already wounded Obi-Wan. As Dooku prepared to finish them, a diminutive figure entered the hangar leaning on a Gemma stick. "Master Yoda," Dooku greeted his former teacher. What followed was a display of Force mastery beyond anything Anakin had witnessed. Yoda, despite his small stature and advanced age, moved with incredible speed, his green lightsaber a blur of motion. When Dooku realized he could not win, he collapsed a pillar toward the unconscious Jedi, forcing Yoda to choose between pursuit and saving Anakin and Obi-Wan. The ancient master chose compassion, allowing Dooku to escape. The Battle of Geonosis marked the beginning of the Clone Wars. While recovering from his injury and adjusting to his new mechanical hand, Anakin escorted Padme back to Naboo. There, beside a lake and witnessed only by C-3PO and R2-D2, they were secretly married, exchanging vows and a forbidden kiss. Anakin knew this decision violated the Jedi Code and could end his career if discovered. Yet in this moment, holding Padme in his arms, as the Naboo sunset painted the lake in golden hues, he felt he had made the right choice. Neither could have imagined how their secret union would ultimately lead to the destruction of the Republic they both served, the fall of the Jedi Order, and the rise of the Galactic Empire. The Clone Wars erupted across the galaxy like wildfire. The Republic, led by Supreme Chancellor Palpatine, deployed its new clone army against the separatist droid forces commanded by Count Dooku and General Grievous. The Jedi, traditional peacekeepers, became generals leading troops into battle on countless worlds. Anakin Skywalker, now a full Jedi Knight, gained fame as the hero with no fear. His bold tactics and battlefield prowess made him a legend among the clones and a symbol of hope for Republic citizens. Holonet news broadcasts frequently featured his exploits, from rescuing hostages on Ryloth to destroying separatist warships in dramatic space battles. 3 months into the war, The Jedi Council assigned Anakin a Padawan. Much to his initial dismay, Ahsoka Tano was a 14-year-old Togruta girl, headstrong and impulsive, traits that mirrored Anakin's own personality. "I don't need a Padawan," he had complained to Obi-Wan. "The Council believes you do," his former master replied. "Teaching is a privilege. Anakin and Ahsoka has much to learn from you." Their first mission together involved breaking a separatist blockade around Christophsis. Ahsoka's reckless maneuver to position their ship between enemy fire and medical transports reminded Anakin of himself. Though he reprimanded her publicly, privately he admired her courage. "You're rash, impulsive, and sometimes foolhardy," he told her later. "But those qualities may serve you well in this war, Snips." "Thanks, Sky Guy," she replied with a smirk, using the nickname that had initially irritated him, but now signified their growing bond. As the months passed, Anakin and Ahsoka formed a connection that went beyond the traditional master-apprentice relationship. They became a family of sorts, protecting each other in battle and sharing quiet moments aboard their flagship, the Resolute. Meanwhile, Anakin's secret marriage to Padme became increasingly difficult to maintain. Their rare moments together were precious but fraught with risk. Often they would go months without seeing each other, communicating only through encrypted transmissions that revealed little of their true feelings for security reasons. During one such reunion on Coruscant, in Padme's apartment overlooking the Senate district, Anakin confessed his frustration. "I hate this war," he said, watching speeders flow through the twilight sky. "I hate being apart from you." Padme touched his mechanical hand, a permanent reminder of what the conflict had already cost him. "When will it end?" "Chancellor Palpatine believes we're close to victory," Anakin replied. His relationship with the Chancellor had continued to deepen throughout the war. Palpatine offered him counsel, praise, and understanding that the strict Jedi Council often withheld. "Do you trust him?" Padme asked carefully. As a senator, she had witnessed Palpatine's growing executive powers with concern. "With my life," Anakin said without hesitation. "He's been a mentor to me since I arrived on Coruscant. He believes in me." What Anakin didn't share was how Palpatine subtly encouraged his frustrations with the Jedi Order, reinforcing his belief that they feared his power and sought to limit his potential. These private conversations planted seeds of distrust that would eventually bear catastrophic fruit. The war ground on, and with each battle, Anakin's reputation grew. So too did his mastery of the Force and his occasional flirtation with its darker aspects. When Ahsoka was framed for bombing the Jedi Temple, Anakin's desperate efforts to clear her name revealed how far he would go to protect those he cared about. After Ahsoka was vindicated, the Council offered to reinstate her as a Padawan. To everyone's shock, she declined, choosing to leave the Order entirely. Standing on the temple steps at sunset, she rejected Anakin's pleas to stay. "I have to figure out what path is right for me," she explained, her voice breaking. "I understand," Anakin replied, though the words felt hollow. "More than you realize, I understand wanting to walk away from the Order." "I know," she said, giving him one last look before descending the steps and walking out of his life. Her departure left a void in Anakin that deepened his sense of isolation within the Jedi Order. If the Council could fail Ahsoka so completely, what did that say about their judgment, about their treatment of him? As Palpatine's power continued to grow, and the war entered its third year, the fragile balance within Anakin Skywalker began to shift. The hero with no fear harbored more fear than anyone suspected. Fear for his secret wife, fear for the troops under his command, fear that he would never be strong enough to end the suffering he witnessed daily. And somewhere in the shadows, orchestrating events with patience and cunning, Darth Sidious watched the Chosen One's inner conflict with satisfaction. Soon, very soon, Anakin Skywalker would face a choice that would determine not only his fate but that of the entire galaxy. Anakin stood before the viewport of a Republic cruiser, watching distant explosions illuminate the night sky over Cato Nemoidia. Another battle, another victory, yet the war seemed endless. His comlink chimed with an encrypted message. Padme's hologram appeared, her expression both joyful and anxious. I need to see you when you return to Coruscant. I have news that cannot wait." The transmission ended before he could reply. Something in her voice triggered both anticipation and dread. 3 days later, granted a short leave to consult with Chancellor Palpatine on military strategy, Anakin slipped into Padme's apartment through a private entrance. She greeted him with a passionate embrace, then stepped back, her hands resting protectively over her abdomen. "Annie, I'm pregnant." The words hit him like a physical blow. Joy, panic, elation, and terror crashed over him in waves. A child, their child, living proof of their forbidden marriage. "That's wonderful," he managed, pulling her close again. "What are we going to do?" she whispered, against his chest. "If the Jedi discover—" "They won't," he assured her, though uncertainty gnawed at him. How could they hide a child? That night, sleep brought the first nightmare, Padme screaming in pain, calling his name as her life ebbed away in childbirth. He woke drenched in sweat, the vision still vivid. Unlike ordinary dreams, this carried the distinctive resonance of a Force premonition. Over the following weeks, the nightmare returned with increasing frequency and detail. He saw medical droids, heard a baby crying, felt Padme's hand go limp in his. Each time he woke more desperate, more determined to prevent this future. The Jedi archives offered no answers. Master Yoda, whom he vaguely consulted without revealing details, only advised him to train yourself to let go of everything you fear to lose. The Council, while traditional Jedi wisdom seemed hollow when faced with the potential loss of his wife and child, relief came from an unexpected source. During a performance at the galaxy's Opera House, Chancellor Palpatine dismissed Anakin's security detail for a private conversation. "Did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis, the Wise?" Palpatine asked, his eyes reflecting the shifting colors of the aquatic ballet. "No," Anakin replied, intrigued. "I thought not. It's not a story the Jedi would tell you. It's a Sith legend." Palpatine described a Dark Lord so powerful he could influence the midichlorians to create life and prevent death. The implication was clear. The dark side offered powers the Jedi denied, powers that might save Padme. "Is it possible to learn this power?" Anakin asked, unable to conceal his interest. Palpatine's reply was barely audible, "Not from a Jedi." The seed was planted. While Anakin didn't immediately pursue forbidden knowledge, the possibility remained, taking root in his consciousness. Meanwhile, tensions between Anakin and the Jedi Council grew. When Palpatine appointed him as his personal representative on the Council, the Masters granted him a seat but denied him the rank of Master, an unprecedented slight. "Take a seat, young Skywalker," Master Windu commanded after announcing their decision. The humiliation burned. Later, walking through the temple with Obi-Wan, Anakin vented his frustration. "It's insulting. They fear me, Obi-Wan. They always have." His former master attempted to calm him. "It's not a question of fear. You're young, Anakin. Be patient." "Patient? While they hold me back?" The conversation soured further. When Obi-Wan revealed the real reason for Anakin's appointment, the Council wanted him to spy on Palpatine, whom they increasingly distrusted. "They're asking you to do something against the Jedi Code and your friendship with Palpatine. They're asking you to spy on a Republic official. That's why you're conflicted," Obi-Wan explained. "Why didn't the Council give me this assignment directly?" "The Council is asking you." The distinction was clear. The council didn't trust him enough to make him a master, yet expected him to violate his principles and betray a mentor who had shown him nothing but support. In private, Palpatine seemed to anticipate Anakin's new role. The council doesn't trust me, do they? They ask you to report on all my dealings, to be the eyes, ears, and voice of the Republic. Caught between loyalties, Anakin found himself increasingly isolated. Only Padme offered unconditional support, but his nightmares of her death intensified. When she suggested retreating to Naboo for the birth, he could only see another link in the chain of future tragedy. The breaking point came when Master Yoda was deployed to Kashyyyk and Obi-Wan, sent to track down General Grievous on Utapau. Anakin, despite being the obvious choice for the Grievous mission, was left behind to monitor Palpatine, alone among Vipers, as he confided to Padme. Then came the revelation that would shatter the galaxy. In Palpatine's office, as clone forces engaged Grievous, the Chancellor revealed his true nature. "You know the dark side." "Anakin," Palpatine replied calmly, "if one is to understand the great mystery, one must study all its aspects, not just the dogmatic view of the Jedi. If you wish to become a complete and wise leader, you must embrace a larger view of the Force." Understanding dawned with horrible clarity. "You're the Sith Lord." Neither denying nor confirming, Palpatine merely asked, "Are you going to kill me?" "I would certainly like to." "I know you would," Palpatine said softly. "But you won't. You need me. I can teach you the ways of the Force, ways the Jedi would never show you. I can help you save Padme." The mention of his wife's name froze Anakin's resolve. Here stood the enemy he had hunted for years, the mastermind behind the war that had claimed millions of lives. Yet this same man offered the only hope of saving the woman he loved. Torn between duty and desperate love, Anakin left to inform Master Windu of Palpatine's true identity. But as Windu assembled a team of Jedi Masters to arrest the Chancellor, doubt gnawed at Anakin. What if Padme's life depended on knowledge only Palpatine possessed? The choice he would make in the coming hours would determine not just his fate, but that of the Jedi Order, the Republic, and the entire galaxy. The seeds of betrayal planted years ago and carefully nurtured were about to bear their terrible fruit. Rain pelted the transparisteel windows of the Jedi Temple as Anakin paced his quarters. Master Windu and 3 other Jedi Masters had gone to arrest Chancellor Palpatine. Each passing minute intensified his internal struggle. If they killed Palpatine, any chance of saving Padme died with him. Yet if Palpatine truly was the Sith Lord, he had orchestrated the war, caused countless deaths, and manipulated Anakin for years. The memory of his mother dying in his arms surfaced. He had been too late to save her. Would he be too late again? Unable to bear the tension, Anakin rushed to his speeder. The night sky of Coruscant was broken by lightning as he navigated through rain toward the Senate building. Urgency drove him forward, the Force itself turbulent around him. In the Chancellor's office, he found a scene of chaos. Bodies of fallen Jedi lay scattered across the crimson carpet. Only Master Windu remained, his purple lightsaber held at Palpatine's throat. The Chancellor cowered against the windowsill, his face seemingly deformed by deflected Force lightning. "You are under arrest, my lord," Windu declared. "Anakin," Palpatine pleaded, his voice weak. "I told you it would come to this. The Jedi are taking over." "The oppression of the Sith will never return," Windu countered. "You have lost." "No," Palpatine snarled, suddenly unleashing another torrent of lightning. "No, you will die." Windu caught the lightning on his blade, forcing it back toward Palpatine. The dark energy appeared to melt the Chancellor's features, revealing a pale, twisted visage. "He's a traitor," Palpatine cried to Anakin. "He is the traitor," Windu insisted, straining against the Force assault. The lightning stopped. leaving Palpatine seemingly drained. "I can't hold on any longer. I'm too weak. I am going to end this once and for all," Windu declared, raising his lightsaber. "You can't," Anakin interjected. "He must stand trial. He controls the Senate and the courts. He's too dangerous to be left alive." "It's not the Jedi way," Anakin protested. "He must live." As Windu prepared to strike, Palpatine's eyes locked with Anakin's. "Please don't," the Chancellor begged. In that moment, Anakin saw not the Sith Lord but the mentor who had believed in him when others doubted, who offered the only hope of saving Padme. The nightmares flashed through his mind, her screams echoing. "I need him," Anakin shouted, igniting his lightsaber and severing Windu's hand. Palpatine's weakness vanished instantly. With renewed vigor, he unleashed a full barrage of Force lightning that sent Windu crashing through the window into the night, falling to his death far below. The deed done, horror washed over Anakin. He collapsed into a chair, trembling. "What have I done?" "You are fulfilling your destiny," Palpatine said, rising to his full height, voice now strong and commanding. "Become my apprentice. Learn the dark side of the Force." What choice remained? He had betrayed the Jedi. Windu was dead by his hand. Only Palpatine could teach him to save Padme now. "I will do whatever you ask," Anakin whispered, kneeling. "Just help me save Padme's life. I can't live without her." The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural. To cheat death is a power only one has achieved, Palpatine said, placing a hand on Anakin's shoulder. "But if we work together, I know we can discover the secret." Anakin bowed his head. "I pledge myself to your teachings." "Good," Palpatine hissed with satisfaction. "The Force is strong with you. A powerful Sith you will become. Henceforth you shall be known as Darth Vader." "Thank you, my master," the newly christened Darth Vader replied, the name settling over him like a shroud. Palpatine, now revealing himself fully as Darth Sidious, wasted no time. "Every single Jedi, including your friend Obi-Wan Kenobi, is now an enemy of the Republic." "I understand, Master. We must move quickly. The Jedi are relentless. If they are not all destroyed, it will be civil war without end." Vader listened as Sidious outlined his first mission to lead the 501st Clone Legion to the Jedi Temple and eliminate every Jedi within, even the younglings. No hesitation showed on his face as he accepted the order. Across the galaxy, Sidious transmitted Order 66 to all clone commanders. On dozens of worlds, Jedi were cut down by the troops they had led in battle. On Utapau, Obi-Wan barely escaped execution by Commander Cody. On Kashyyyk, Master Yoda sensed the betrayal through the Force and fled. At the Jedi Temple, Vader marched up the steps, blue lightsaber ignited, hood drawn over his face. Clone troopers surrounded the building, sealing all exits. What followed was not battle but slaughter. Jedi Knights taken by surprise fell before his relentless assault. Masters died defending Padawans. In the council chamber, younglings who had hidden during the initial attack emerged, seeing not danger but a familiar face. "Master Skywalker, there are too many of them. What are we going to do?" a small boy asked, hope in his eyes. Vader's answer came not in words, but in the ignition of his lightsaber. When the massacre was complete, Vader contacted Sidious. Smoke rose from the temple behind him, flames visible through shattered windows. "The Jedi have been eliminated, my master." "You have done well, Lord Vader. Now go to the Mustafar system. Wipe out the Separatist leaders hiding there. Once they are gone, the war will be over." Before departing, Vader returned briefly to Padme's apartment. She had watched the temple burning from her balcony, sensing something terrible had occurred. "What's happening?" she asked. embracing him. "The Jedi have tried to overthrow the Republic," he told her, repeating Sidious's lie. "I'm going to Mustafar to end the war. Wait for me. When I return, things will be different. We'll no longer have to hide our love. I have brought peace to the Republic." As his ship departed for Mustafar, Vader did not see Obi-Wan arrive at Padme's apartment soon after, bearing news of Anakin's fall and the Jedi Purge, nor did he see Padme, despite her advanced pregnancy, board her personal ship to follow him. The path to darkness, begun with a desperate desire to save his wife, was now complete. Anakin Skywalker, the Chosen One, had fallen. In his place stood Darth Vader, apprentice to the Dark Lord of the Sith and executioner of the Jedi Order. Mustafar's landscape was a vision of hell. Rivers of molten lava flowed between black, jagged peaks under a smoke-filled sky. The mining facility perched precariously above the inferno on massive heat-resistant struts. Inside, the Separatist leaders huddled in the command center, believing themselves safe under Count Dooku's protection. They did not yet know that Dooku was dead, beheaded by Anakin Skywalker aboard General Grievous's flagship. When Darth Vader entered the room, lightsaber already ignited, they initially welcomed him as an emissary from Lord Sidious. "We were told you were coming." Newt Gunray, Viceroy of the Trade Federation, greeted him nervously. "We have transferred control of our droid armies to Lord Sidious as requested." "The war is over," another leader added. "Lord Sidious promised us peace." Vader sealed the doors with a gesture. His transmission was garbled. "I'm here to clarify his message." What followed was methodical execution. One by one, the architects of the Clone Wars fell to Vader's blade. These weren't Jedi capable of defending themselves, but politicians and corporate leaders who could only flee in terror. Vader hunted them through the facility with predatory efficiency, his eyes now a sickly yellow rimmed with red, the mark of deep dark side corruption. As the last Separatist collapsed, Vader stood at a viewport overlooking the hellscape. Tears streamed down his face, not from remorse, but from understanding what he had become. There was no turning back now. The only path was forward, into darkness. The facility's sensors alerted him to an approaching ship. Padme's Nubian vessel landed on the facility's pad. Vader rushed to meet her, momentarily forgetting his deeds in joy at seeing his wife. "Padme, what are you doing here? You shouldn't have come." Her face was drawn with worry. "Obi-Wan told me terrible things." "What things?" "That you turned to the dark side, that you killed younglings." Vader's expression hardened. "Obi-Wan is trying to turn you against me. He cares about us." "Us?" "He knows," she admitted. "He wants to help you." Anger flared. "Is Obi-Wan with you now?" "No," she lied, unaware that Obi-Wan had indeed stowed away on her ship, determined to confront his former apprentice. "You brought him here to kill me," Vader accused, his paranoia overwhelming reason. "No, Anakin, I swear." He raised his hand, and to his horror, Padme began gasping for breath, her hands clutching at her. Padme began gasping for breath, her hands clutching at her throat as Vader unconsciously used the Force to choke her. "Let her go, Anakin," Obi-Wan shouted, appearing at the top of the ship's ramp. Shocked by his own actions, Vader released his grip. Padme collapsed to the landing platform, unconscious. "You turned her against me." Vader snarled at his former master. "You have done that yourself," Obi-Wan replied, shedding his cloak. "Your anger and lust for power have already done that. I have brought peace, freedom, justice, and security to my new empire." "Your new empire?" Obi-Wan's voice was incredulous. "Don't make me kill you. Anakin, my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy. If you're not with me," Vader declared, "then you're my enemy." Only a Sith deals in absolutes. Obi-Wan said sadly, igniting his lightsaber. I will do what I must. You will try, Vader responded, his own blade blazing to life. What followed was not merely a duel but the violent severing of a brotherhood. They fought through the facility, their blades creating showers of sparks as they clashed against metal surfaces. Every corridor, every chamber became a battleground as they moved deeper into the complex. The fight spilled outside onto platforms suspended over rivers of lava. Vader drove Obi-Wan back with savage blows, his technique sacrificing finesse for raw power. Obi-Wan, always the more defensive fighter, weathered the assault, looking for openings. I have failed you, Anakin, Obi-Wan said during a momentary pause. I have failed you. I should have known the Jedi were plotting to take over, Vader replied, circling. Anakin Chancellor Palpatine is evil. From my point of view, the Jedi are evil. Then you are lost. Their conflict continued onto a collection arm extending over the lava flow. When the structure began to collapse, they climbed onto a severed piece, balancing as it floated downstream. Each sought advantage on the precarious surface, their lightsabers blurring with the speed of their exchanges. As the makeshift raft approached a lava fall, Obi-Wan spotted a solid bank. With a force-enhanced leap, he landed safely. It's over, Anakin. I have the high ground. Vader, consumed by rage and overconfidence, snarled, You underestimate my power. Don't try it, Obi-Wan warned. But Vader did try. He launched himself in a spinning leap toward his former master. In one fluid motion, Obi-Wan's blade swept through Vader's remaining natural arm and both legs. Vader tumbled down the embankment, coming to rest at the edge of the lava flow. His severed limbs left him immobile, his body beginning to smoke from the intense heat. Obi-Wan looked down at his fallen apprentice, his friend, his brother. Anguish twisted his features. You were the chosen one, he cried. It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them, bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness. Hatred burned in Vader's yellow eyes. I hate you. You were my brother, Anakin, Obi-Wan replied, voice breaking. I loved you. As Vader's clothing ignited from the lava's heat, Obi-Wan turned away, unable to watch. He collected Anakin's lightsaber and returned to Padme's ship, leaving his fallen apprentice to what seemed a certain death. But death would not claim Darth Vader. On Coruscant, Emperor Palpatine felt his apprentice's agony through the Force. Immediately he departed for Mustafar with a medical capsule and his most trusted clone troopers. They found Vader clinging to life, his body horrifically burned, his lungs seared by the superheated air. The Emperor ordered him stabilized and transported to a medical facility on Coruscant. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan took Padme to the hidden asteroid base of Polis Massa. Despite advanced medical technology, the doctors could not explain her failing health. She has lost the will to live, the medical droid reported. We must operate quickly if we are to save the babies. Babies? Obi-Wan asked, startled. She is carrying twins. With her last strength, Padme gave birth to a son and daughter. She named them Luke and Leia, insisting to Obi-Wan with her dying breath, there is good in him. I know there is still good in him. On Coruscant, Vader underwent a different kind of birth. Droids worked to construct a life support suit that would become his prison and sustenance. His charred body was encased in black armor, his damaged lungs assisted by a regulated breathing apparatus, his severed limbs replaced with mechanical prosthetics. When the mask was finally sealed over his ruined face, Darth Vader drew his first breath with an iconic mechanical rasp that would strike fear across the galaxy for decades. Emperor Palpatine approached the operating table where his apprentice lay. Lord Vader, can you hear me? Yes, Master, came the deep, mechanically filtered reply. Where is Padme? Is she safe? Is she all right? The Emperor's face twisted in false sympathy. It seems in your anger, you killed her. I couldn't have, Vader protested. She was alive. I felt it. The medical droids and equipment around them began to crumple as Vader's anguish manifested through the Force. With a roar of despair that reverberated through the facility, he shattered his restraints and took his first steps in his new form. The transformation was complete. Anakin Skywalker, the Chosen One, was gone. In his place stood Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith, more machine than man, twisted and evil. The Republic had fallen, the Jedi were all but extinct, and the galaxy trembled before the might of the new galactic empire. 20 years passed. The Empire's grip on the galaxy tightened with each passing year. On countless worlds, Imperial flags flew over subjugated populations, stormtroopers patrolled city streets, and star destroyers dominated skies. Through it all, Darth Vader served as the Emperor's enforcer, hunting down the remaining Jedi and crushing resistance wherever it appeared. The once honorable Jedi Knight now inspired terror throughout the galaxy. His name was whispered with fear, his arrival on any world considered an ill omen. Children were hushed with warnings that Vader would come for them if they misbehaved. He had become legend, nightmare, and living weapon. Behind his mask, Vader existed in constant pain. His suit was designed not just to keep him alive, but to maintain his connection to the dark side through suffering. Meditation chambers allowed brief respites from the armor, but even these moments brought no peace. Physical agony was his constant companion, fueling his rage and power. Aboard the Imperial Star Destroyer Devastator, Vader stood on the bridge, watching the stars. Intelligence reports indicated rebel activity in the Outer Rim, specifically around the planet Tatooine. The mention of his homeworld stirred memories he had long suppressed. Lord Vader, an officer, approached cautiously. We've captured a rebel ship entering the Tatooine system. Its markings match those of a diplomatic vessel from Alderaan. I want the passengers alive, Vader ordered, suspecting the ship might carry plans for the Empire's new battle station, the Death Star. Construction of this planet killer had consumed 2 decades and untold resources, all to create the ultimate symbol of Imperial power. The boarding party found a single passenger of significance, Princess Leia Organa of Alderaan. Though Vader did not know it, he stood face to face with his own daughter. The Force, ever mysterious, gave no indication of their connection as he towered over her. "Darth Vader," she said defiantly. "I should have known. Only you would be so bold. The Imperial Senate will not sit still for this. You are part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor," he replied coldly. "Take her away." Unknown to Vader, before her capture, Leia had hidden the Death Star plans within an astromech droid named R2-D2, who escaped to Tatooine with a protocol droid, C-3PO. The droids Vader himself had encountered and, in R2's case, fought alongside during the Clone Wars. When Imperial forces failed to recover the plans, Vader ordered a ground assault on Tatooine. His rage at the failure manifested in the brutal interrogation of the princess and the destruction of her home planet Alderaan as demonstration of the Death Star's power. Yet these acts of terror only fueled the rebellion. The Death Star plans reached the Alliance, revealing a critical weakness. During the Battle of Yavin, rebel starfighters launched a desperate attack on the station. Vader personally led the defense in his advanced TIE fighter. One by one, he eliminated rebel pilots with precision until only 3 X-Wings remained in the trench run toward the vulnerable exhaust port. As he locked onto the lead fighter, prepared to eliminate the final threat, a presence in the Force caught his attention. The pilot radiated power, unlike any Vader had encountered since the Purge. Before he could process this, a shot from the Millennium Falcon sent his TIE spinning into space. Moments later, the Death Star exploded, taking with it Grand Moff Tarkin and the Empire's sense of invulnerability. Returning to Imperial Center, formerly Coruscant, Vader knelt before Emperor Palpatine, prepared for punishment. Instead, the Emperor seemed strangely unconcerned with the devastating loss. "There is a great disturbance in the Force," Palpatine observed. "I have felt it," Vader acknowledged. "We have a new enemy, the young rebel who destroyed the Death Star. The Force is strong with him." "How is that possible?" Palpatine's eyes narrowed. "Search your feelings, Lord Vader. You will know why this boy concerns me." Later, in his meditation chamber, Vader reviewed the intelligence report on the rebel pilot, a farm boy from Tatooine, raised by Owen and Beru Lars. The name blazed from the datapad like a supernova: Luke Skywalker. For the first time in decades, something stirred in the darkness that was Vader's heart. Not compassion, not yet, but a flicker of potential. The Emperor had lied. Padme had lived long enough to give birth. He had a son. The revelation changed everything. For 20 years, Vader had served the Emperor faithfully, believing he had nothing else. Now, a new possibility emerged. With his son at his side, he could overthrow Palpatine and rule the galaxy as he had once proposed to Padme. Vader dispatched probe droids across the galaxy, personally overseeing the search. The obsession consumed him. Fleet admirals trembled as he executed those who failed him, his patience exhausted. The boy was out there, and Vader would find him, no matter the cost. When Imperial forces discovered the rebel base on Hoth, Vader personally led the assault. But once again, Luke Skywalker eluded him. The game of pursuit continued to the mining colony of Cloud City on Bespin, where Vader set a trap using Luke's friends as bait. As he waited in the carbon freezing chamber, Vader reflected on his path. For the first time in 20 years, he had a purpose beyond serving the Emperor. Whether that purpose would lead to redemption or deeper darkness remained to be seen. Steam billowed through the carbon freezing chamber on Cloud City, casting everything in an ominous red glow. Darth Vader stood motionless, mechanical breathing echoing against metal walls as he waited. The trap was set. His son would come. Luke Skywalker entered cautiously, lightsaber in hand. Though barely trained, he moved with a confidence that reminded Vader of himself in younger days. "The Force is with you, young Skywalker." Vader's deep voice resonated through the chamber. "But you are not a Jedi yet." Blue and red lightsabers ignited simultaneously, casting their wielders in opposing colors. Vader tested the boy initially, measuring his abilities with calculated restraint. Luke fought well for one so inexperienced, but Vader soon forced him onto a gantry overlooking Cloud City's central shaft. "You have learned much, young one," Vader acknowledged after Luke briefly gained the upper hand. "You'll find I'm full of surprises," Luke replied, renewing his attack. With a simple flourish, Vader disarmed him, sending Luke's lightsaber flying into the abyss. A swift strike severed Luke's hand at the wrist. The boy screamed, clutching his cauterized stump as he retreated along the gantry. "There is no escape." Vader advanced slowly. "Don't make me destroy you." Luke backed away until he reached the gantry's end. Nothing but the endless shaft below him. "You are beaten. It is useless to resist," Vader continued. "Don't let yourself be destroyed as Obi-Wan did." Hatred flashed across Luke's face at the mention of his mentor. He edged further away, clinging one-handed to an antenna beneath the gantry. Vader deactivated his lightsaber, extending his hand instead. "Luke, you do not yet realize your importance. Join me, and I will complete your training. With our combined strength, we can end this destructive conflict and bring order to the galaxy." "I'll never join you," Luke shouted defiantly. "If you only knew the power of the dark side," Vader replied. Then, after a moment's hesitation, Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father. He told me enough, Luke spat. He told me you killed him. No, Vader said, his mechanical voice somehow conveying the weight of the revelation. I am your father. Luke's face contorted with shock and denial. No, he whispered. That's not true. That's impossible. Search your feelings, Vader urged. You know it to be true. No, no, Luke's cry echoed down the shaft. Luke, you can destroy the Emperor. He has foreseen this. It is your destiny. Join me, and together we can rule the galaxy as father and son. With quiet resolve, Luke looked down into the abyss, then back at Vader. He let go, preferring death to the Dark Lord's offer. Vader watched his son fall, surprised by the choice. He had expected rejection, but not this willingness to die rather than join him. Something stirred within his armored chest, concern, an emotion he had not felt in decades. Through the Force, Vader sensed Luke had somehow survived, been rescued. As the Millennium Falcon escaped Cloud City, he reached out. Luke, he called silently, it is your destiny. Aboard his flagship, the Executor, Vader stood alone in his meditation chamber, helmet removed. The encounter had affected him deeply. After 20 years of unwavering devotion to the dark side, doubt emerged like a persistent wind finding cracks in armor. The Emperor sensed this conflict. During their next communication, his accusations were barely veiled. I wonder if your feelings on this matter are clear, Lord Vader. They are clear, my master. The son of Skywalker must not become a Jedi. If he could be turned, he would become a powerful ally, Vader suggested. Palpatine's eyes narrowed. Yes, he would be a great asset. Can it be done? He will join us or die, my master. Yet even as he spoke, Vader knew he would never kill his son. The plan forming in his mind was treasonous, overthrow the Emperor with Luke at his side. The very ambition that had led him to the dark side now offered something unexpected, a purpose beyond servitude. When Imperial forces captured Luke on Endor, Vader received him personally. The Emperor has been expecting you, Vader said as they walked along the landing platform. I know, Father, Luke replied calmly. The word struck Vader like a physical blow. Father, not spoken in fear or hatred, but simple acknowledgement. So you have accepted the truth, Vader observed. I've accepted that you were once Anakin Skywalker, my father. That name no longer has any meaning for me, Vader replied sharply. It is the name of your true self. You've only forgotten, Luke insisted. I know there is good in you. The Emperor hasn't driven it from you fully. Vader examined Luke's new lightsaber. Indeed, you are powerful, as the Emperor has foreseen. Come with me, Luke urged. Obi-Wan once thought as you do, Vader responded, his tone almost sad. You don't know the power of the dark side. I must obey my master. I will not turn, Luke said firmly, and you'll be forced to kill me, if that is your destiny. Search your feelings, Father. You can't do this. I feel the conflict within you. It is too late for me, son, Vader said, resignation in his voice as guards approached. The Emperor will show you the true nature of the Force. He is your master now. As Luke was led away, Vader remained on the platform, gazing at the forest moon below. He felt more torn than he had since pledging himself to the Sith. The path ahead was clouded by emotions he had thought long dead. The final confrontation aboard the second Death Star would determine not just Luke's fate, but his own. As father and son ascended toward the Emperor's throne room, neither could predict how their next encounter would forever alter the galaxy's course. The Emperor's throne room aboard the Death Star was designed to intimidate, a vast, darkened chamber with a long walkway leading to a raised platform where Palpatine sat. Through the massive viewport behind him, the space battle between Rebel and Imperial forces played out like a distant storm. Vader escorted Luke before his master, maintaining his position as the Emperor's loyal servant for now. "Welcome, young Skywalker." Palpatine's voice slithered through the chamber. "I have been expecting you." The Emperor circled Luke, taunting him about the Rebel fleet's imminent destruction and his friend's peril on Endor. Throughout this psychological warfare, Vader stood silent, observing his son's growing anger. "I can feel your anger," Palpatine hissed. "Strike me down with it. Give in to your hate." Luke's eyes fixed on his father's lightsaber, resting on the arm of the throne. "You want this," Palpatine noted, with a twisted smile. "Take your Jedi weapon. Use it." When Luke finally seized the lightsaber with the Force and struck at the Emperor, Vader's crimson blade intercepted the blow. Father and son locked in combat once more, their lightsabers casting harsh shadows across the chamber. Unlike their duel on Cloud City, this battle carried immense emotional weight. Luke fought defensively, retreating through the throne room. "You are unwise to lower your defenses," Vader warned after a close strike. Luke leapt to a higher catwalk. "Your thoughts betray you, Father. I feel the good in you, the conflict." "There is no conflict," Vader insisted, pursuing. When Luke mentioned his sister, Vader probed his son's thoughts. "Sister, Obi-Wan was wise to hide her from me. If you will not turn to the dark side, perhaps she will." Something broke in Luke. With a cry of rage, he attacked Vader with newfound ferocity. Blow after blow drove the Dark Lord back, until a powerful strike sent him tumbling down a staircase. Luke continued his assault, lightsaber a blur of motion, until a final slash severed Vader's right hand. Luke stood over his fallen father, breathing heavily, lightsaber poised for a killing stroke. Behind him, Palpatine laughed with delight. "Good. Your hate has made you powerful," the Emperor crooned. "Now, fulfill your destiny. Take your father's place at my side." Luke stared at Vader's severed mechanical hand, then at his own prosthetic right-hand mirror, images of loss. In that moment of clarity, he made his choice. "Never," Luke declared, deactivating his lightsaber and tossing it aside. "I'll never turn to the dark side. I am a Jedi like my father before me." Palpatine's face contorted with rage. "So be it, Jedi." Lightning erupted from the Emperor's fingers, engulfing Luke in agony. Vader rose to his feet, watching as his son writhed on the floor. "Father, please," Luke gasped between bolts of lightning. "Help me." Palpatine intensified his attack. "Now, young Skywalker, you will die." Something shifted within Vader as he watched his son suffer. Perhaps it was Luke's unwavering faith in his redemption. Perhaps it was the realization that after losing everything he had ever loved, he could not bear to lose his son too. For the first time in over 20 years, Anakin Skywalker emerged from behind Vader's mask. With sudden resolve, he seized the Emperor from behind, lifting the withered Sith Lord over his head. Lightning coursed through both of them as Vader carried Palpatine to the reactor shaft and threw him over the edge. The Emperor's body disappeared into the abyss, his scream fading, followed by an explosion of dark side energy. The effort cost Vader dearly, his life support systems damaged beyond repair by the Emperor's lightning. He collapsed. Luke dragged him toward a shuttle, determined to save his father. "Leave me," Vader gasped. "No, you're coming with me," Luke insisted. "I'll not leave you here." "You already have, Luke," Vader replied, his breathing increasingly labored. "You were right about me." Near the shuttle, Vader made a final request. "Luke, help me take this mask off." "But you'll die." "Nothing can stop that now. Just for once, let me look on you with my own eyes." Carefully, Luke removed the helmet, and then the mask, revealing not a monster, but a pale, scarred man with gentle eyes. Anakin Skywalker looked upon his son directly for the first and last time. "Now go, my son," Anakin whispered. "No, you're coming with me," Luke repeated. "I've got to save you." "You already have," Anakin said with a faint smile. "Tell your sister you were right." With those words, Anakin Skywalker, the Chosen One, died, but his sacrifice had not been in vain. By saving his son, he had finally fulfilled the prophecy, bringing balance to the Force by destroying both the Emperor and himself, the last of the Sith. Later, as the rebels celebrated their victory on Endor, Luke stood apart from the festivities. Watching the bonfire, he saw 3 shimmering figures materialize among the trees: Obi-Wan, Yoda, and a third figure younger than Vader had been, whole and unscarred, smiling at his son with pride and peace. His legacy lived on through Luke and Leia, and through the restoration of balance to the Force. The prophecy had been fulfilled, though not as the Jedi had expected. The Chosen One had walked through darkness to find redemption, proving that no one is ever truly lost to the dark side if love remains. The tragic hero who began as a slave boy on Tatooine, became the greatest Jedi of his generation, fell to darkness as Darth Vader, and found redemption through his son's faith, completed his journey. The circle was now complete. And somewhere in the cosmic force, Anakin Skywalker was finally at peace, reunited with the woman he had loved, beyond reason, beyond the code, beyond life itself. Padme had been right all along. There was good in him. After all,